Hi, I'm Dustin James, and you're listening to A Shark's Perspective.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining A Shark's Perspective. I am Kenneth Kinney, but friends call me Shark. I am a keynote speaker, a strategist, a shark diver, host of this show, and your chief shark officer. If you were to rent a tuxedo, then what would matter more? The shirt? Let's call that your marketing. Or would it be the jacket? Let's call that your sales. Or would it be if it were available on time, if it was clean when you got it, if they were nice when you picked it up? That would be the bow tie, and let's call that your customer experience. Well, they would each look kind of silly if just worn on their own. But we so often talk about digital experiences that the big boys and girls at Fortune 500 brands are doing. It's worth a reminder, though, that 99.9% of all businesses in the U.S. are small businesses. The point is that there is still a lot to learn from SMBs, from a sales, marketing, and CX perspective. And those lessons are well worth learning if you want a more formal way to elevate the everyday in your business. Dustin James is a keynote speaker, specializing in motivating sales and leadership teams, as well as the owner of Moments Tux Shop, a formal wear and tuxedo shop servicing the Quad Cities markets in Iowa and Illinois. And on this episode, we will discuss the formal wear business, being a top 20% performer in a not top 20% market, disrupting your market and taking the product to the customer, caring more for your customer and less about the competition. Elevating the everyday, black tie moments, great advice for those coming up to consider with sales, marketing, and CX, connecting with customers, the Quad Cities and the Fifth Beatle, Iowa movies, black tie moments for bonds, Dumb and Dumber formal wear, corn country favorites, and a lot more. So let's tune into a Moments leadership and tuck shop owner with a shark who obviously looks great at any moment in a black tie on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. Dustin, welcome to A Shark's Perspective. If you would, tell us a little bit about your background and your career to date.
Well, I appreciate being on the show here, Shark. At 46, I've been blessed and cursed to do a lot of great things in life, challenges, obstacles. Currently, my wife and I, we run three very successful businesses. First one is we've got one of the top formal wear dealers in the country. Second one's a branding company, and then our third one is our professional speaking business. So kind of keeps me in the everyday, that reality, the struggles, the obstacles, challenges, where to spend your marketing dollars, how to provide that customer experience. So been blessed to be a top performer in 4 different industries, and really kind of a culmination of that. I've got 2 awesome kids and just trying to navigate life every day.
Well, and it keeps you humble.
Very much so.
We're friends, so I'm going to josh with Dustin a little bit here. And the show is evergreen, so he'll be 46 every year for the next 10 years on the show. But, we've talked about this a lot, and I wanted to kind of dive into the formal wear business in your tuxedo shop. So you're in the top 20% across the country, right? Nationwide in all tuxedo shops, but you're not in a top 20% sized metro market.
No, we're not.
So why do you think that is?
Well, part of it, I think, is just really, previously I had a graduation business selling caps and gowns and class rings, and we were in schools, and it was just another product line where we came up with this idea to create a mobile tuxedo business, right? Especially working with the rural communities. Now, the Quad Cities we're located, it's about 450,000. I mean, it's not a major metroplex, but we've got a lot of schools, a lot of blue collar community, and when you build your business, we've always, no matter what industry we're in, really try to provide a service, right? And the world is kind of okay with being antiquated and mediocre. We like to do things a little bit different. And when we created that mobile tuxedo business, we were going into the communities, right? And when we came up with the business, we were just really wanting to do prom season. And just like any entrepreneur, right, we do your homework and you try to prepare and you think you know everything. And we were just going to go after the prom business. And by creating a business where you could go into the school for one night, let the guys order there, bring their dates, their mothers, right, those who have the credit cards, those moms or grandmothers, and have an opportunity to order at the school and then deliver it the week of prom and pick it up. We were really eliminating like a 6-hour purchase cycle. And we were bringing it to the customer, and 6 schools turned into 18, turned into 28. And we created this market disruption, not really knowing the entire formal wear industry. We were in it for the prom season because we were already in the schools, had relationships. How do you expand product? How do you maximize those touch points with customers? And we didn't realize there's big box retailers, there's a third generation local place, and we didn't realize that prom was kind of their Christmas and vacation money, right? We were doing it as a business, but we really kind of upset our competitors, but our customers loved us. So our business philosophy is really, at the end of the day, I try not to really worry too much about our competition. As long as our customers love us, that's all that matters. And we're always trying to enhance that, because if you look at the big picture of selling, at least in the formal wear business, if we can get them as juniors and seniors, we're going to get them again when they get married. And now, being in the business 7 years, we're starting to see that. And it's really exciting when somebody comes in and then they're like, you put my husband in his prom tuxedo 7 years ago, right? So we really maximize those touch points. And it is on the retail side of it, and customers coming in, and how can you enhance that experience? How can you make that moment count? A lot of times in business, we might think it's, product, profit margin. But if you can really win that customer over and provide a good experience, why would they go somewhere else?
Well, and if you think of where I'm originally from, a lot of people get a tux to get married before they graduate. So, it depends on the order, but
very much so.
Well, when you think about kids today, but in a small business like this, and we get it, we're grown-ups, it's all the things go together. But if you sort of had to pick a point as to what's propelled your growth the most, do you think it's been more sales, more marketing, or more focus on customer experience? And again, they all work together.
I was just going to say they're all intertwined, but I know when we moved into the business, we always approached it as, what do we want, right? What would be that great customer experience? It's a very traditionally antiquated industry, right? You pick your stuff up on Friday. We've worked with the top manufacturer to get our stuff on Monday. We want people to come in and pick their stuff up on Tuesday or Wednesday. And in most of our weeks, even with weddings, we're done with wedding parties and prom by Wednesday of that week. So we can already start working on that next week. And really understanding that customer experience. Like my competitors, I don't really look at what they do, because we want to do it the right way. If we were that customer, and it gives me a chance to reflect, even when I got married, plenty of years ago, we'll just leave it at that, right? Long before I was in the formal wear business, my jacket sleeve was long, my jacket was baggy, and somebody let me walk out of that store not knowing what it's supposed to look like. Somebody just didn't care. And at the end of the day, like, that's what really, in any business, we want our customers to know we care. And when they can see that authenticity, it really enhances that experience, because if somebody knows you care, you're touching hearts, you're making moments, you're making memories. And, for some people, prom might be the biggest day of their life. For some people, weddings might be the biggest day of life. For some weddings, we might have guys come back 2 or 3 times. I don't wish that on anybody, right? But it's nice to be there for those moments.
Your tuxedo when you got married, did it have ruffles?
It did not have ruffles. I'm not that old.
Yeah. Well, I want to lean back into that, because the reason I asked that question is because you touched on all 3 of those when you were kind of describing the business.
Yeah.
When you think of all the conversation that's out there, in particular about digital experience, where do you think that contradicts with what is the experience you live in that most businesses live in throughout the world? I mean, I think we all think that everything's bought online, everything goes through Amazon, and all the advice is there, when most of the businesses may have a website and a storefront, but they're not, there's still a big, huge chunk of it is some kid or some adult coming in to get a tuxedo.
Well, and that is always the golden answer that everybody wants to know. Where does it all come from, right? And we as a small business are very strategic when people come in. Like, how did you hear about it? What brought you here? Was it referral? Right? I mean, we invest in search engine optimization, right? We want to still, if people are searching there, we want to become top of mind and be at the top of the list. But it really, in today's world, I think you have to be everywhere. But as a small business, you can't afford to be everywhere all the time, right? I was just having that conversation with my wife. We had somebody walk in that said, hey, we heard you on the radio. And my wife's always joked, like, radio's nice, but it's never that one where they come running in. And we've never had anybody say that, even though we do it kind of seasonally based on seasons. And on Saturday, somebody comes in and, oh, we heard you on the radio all the time, right? So it's like, all right, we've spent investment on trying to get to the top or trying to do this. And, I think we're just at an interesting place from a consumer standpoint, right? We've got, some people are hate to say it, they don't want to look on their phones. They're going to go wherever dad or grandpa took them, right? Or, high school students that they're going to go shop online. Tuxedos, Quad Cities, who pops up? Where are you? Right. So it's important that we're still relevant in all those areas. And it's hard to just say it's just this. We do know that we're not like in a mall location, right? So we're not with window shoppers. We're a destination. So when people need a tux for prom or weddings, hopefully we come to the top. Some people will drive by, see our sign, but I think it truly is kind of it's a really hard question to answer exactly. Do I think it's all important? It is. It's not, you can't just sit back and, even with our manufacturer, they joke because we're an aggressive business, right? We want to work trade shows. We want to, do social media. We want to be at places. We want to be in schools, coupons, all the really a culmination of everything. But it's just important that you're relevant so that when somebody does find you, they come in and you maximize it. We're really strategic when we deal with a customer and they're happy in the store to let them know, hey, they're in their car, we text them the link, right there on the spot, fresh, top of mind. And it keeps us that 4.8, 4.9, 5 Google review because it's important. All of it is intertwined. It's business. We're not just a sales. We're not just a retail. We're just not customer experience. Like we need a product that we need customers to rent or purchase. Right? We need those customers. How do you drive them in? And it really is, it's a puzzle. And when the more pieces you have, the better the picture. And hopefully it keeps increasing sales.
I know you get pitched on LinkedIn. We all do. But
Yep.
sort of you and your wife combined with the sales pitches that come to you. I'm curious because you also work as a speaker. What are most of the pitches about? Nobody comes in and tells you how to optimize your retail shop. You know what I mean? Everybody's got, we're going to produce content for you or.
Yeah, I think that, it's probably the one that everybody gets. We'll get more leads, hundreds of leads overnight. Yeah. Right? There's only so many people in the Quad Cities that are getting married or going to prom. That's the reality. We do an extremely good job. Once again, when a customer comes in, what graduation year are they, right? We just had somebody who came in who was a junior, but they went to prom as a sophomore, right? If you can get them as a sophomore, a junior, and a senior, right? They should come to you come prom season. So it's trying to build that word of mouth. But the pitches, yeah, everybody, get to the top, you're going to get leads. As a small business, sure, it all sounds great, right? But when you get 10 of them, everybody's an expert. Right? And in today's world, you can claim to be an expert without being an expert. It's a free title that many people use and abuse. It's not really that badge of honor that it used to be.
So you work a lot with teenagers, in particular, we were talking about people that go to the prom. Your daughter's a teenager. What's the one piece of advice you would give to someone in sales, in marketing, and customer experience that's going to help them succeed in business as they move forward throughout their career?
I would say the number one, in my opinion, is connecting. And no matter what customer comes through the door, big or small, whether it's a single tuxedo for us or it's a massive wedding at 25, right? It's having more than just a business conversation. Yes, I can get you this. Tell me more about who you are, to really establish a rapport. And when you're having that conversation, shut up for a second. Let them talk, analyze what was said, where they've heard about you, where they are in the process, because there's a lot of information that can be exchanged in that customer experience. And as much as we can move into digital world, and that human connection, that human conversation is extremely valuable. I think we get caught up too much in churn and burn, right? Get the sale and move on, instead of really trying to win over a customer through conversation. And for us, we're a diverse company, right? We've got our tuxedo company, we've got a branding company, a speaking company, right? Many times by helping us, we get to tell our story and get to hear their story, what it is they do for a living, create new lead opportunities. It's remarkable how many weddings we've had where we're just having conversations. Who's the next guy in the wedding party going to get married? and they'll tell you who the next guy is. And when that guy comes in, you better have antennas ready. Clink, clink, clink. He's your next lead. And it created itself. I think we just I believe data and analytics is extremely important for business, but we cannot forget the human connection of conversation. I do believe there's a lot of value in that. People want to talk. People want to be acknowledged. People, they want to be heard. And we need to do a good job as business owners, as salespeople, as marketing, whatever our backgrounds are, is really listening to a customer, because they're going to tell you a lot of what's going on, their bad experiences. Oh, you had a bad experience? They'll tell you where it was, right? Okay, great. Like, we need to know that that was their hot button. How do we prevent that? I think we live in a fast-paced world. Sometimes we just need to slow things down when we do have an opportunity with a customer to gain as much information as we can, and not just listen to it, process it. How can you make your business better? Can we be more creative in our marketing? Do we need to be more social? Do we need to? All of those are questions that our customers will tell us if we listen.
So then how do you go about elevating the everyday? Because I know that's one of your keynotes, so I just had to use it.
Yes, yeah,
And then two, it can be a slog going into a business every day, waiting for somebody to come in and get a tux, or, in any other form of business. But it's not easy to create everyday excellence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not. And the reality is, if you want to be successful in business, it's still going to be hard work. No matter what you do. I mean, life's a grind, right? We grind for the green, the glory or growth, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot of money. I like nice things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the crazy things you can do to damage with money, right? Or you're grinding because you want to grow, right? What is that professional growth? Or you're grinding for titles. The everyday to me is really being hungry to want to be better at what you do. And sometimes we get caught up in comparing ourselves to other people. Like, for us, the formwear business has taught us a lot that, what happens if your competitors aren't good, right? We put this bar of where our competitors are, but what if they're not good? One of my competitors is third generation. He's just a grumpy old man who doesn't want to do marketing, doesn't want to be creative. He's just mad people won't go to him because he's been there for 3 generations. That doesn't entitle you to business, right? We're going to go out, we're going to hustle, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to be creative. We're going to do trade shows differently. That every day is just realizing, when you get caught in mediocrity or you want to settle, you can't gripe that you're going to get passed over or somebody else is gaining market share, right? There's always going to be adversity. There's always going to be market trends that may not play in your favor. Well, how can we, I hate to use the word pivot because I hate it. I believe in diversification. Like, what can we do differently? What do we need to do to stand out? And the world is hungry for different, right? They are. Maybe it's having fun at a trade show. Maybe it's just thinking differently in your marketing. What hasn't been done? As wild and crazy as it might be, it could be the golden goose for you. And a lot of times, some doing things differently, you can do them very affordable. Like, as a small business, we don't have we don't have a Men's Warehouse or a National Bridal or any of that marketing budget. We have marketing, yeah, but we've got to be cost efficient. We've got to be effective with it. We got to be memorable with it.
Agreed, and good point. All right, Dustin, I ask everyone who appears on the show, what is your favorite kind of shark and why?
Ooh, that is a great one. Wow. I should have been prepared for this one. Probably the great white, because I think the great white is the biggest one, probably the meanest one, scariest one. It's aggressive, so at least that's what the movies tell you. So I don't know. I know you as the shark, but I don't know my science behind a shark. But I do know the great white it's got a great name, so why not be the great shark?
It's not the biggest the whale shark is. But if I keep eating at the pace I'm eating, I may pass it. So, all right, Dustin, it's that special time of the show. Are you ready for the 5 most interesting and important questions you're going to be asked today?
Sure. Go for it, Shark.
All right. Best movies that represent Iowa.
Ooh,
Field of Dreams.
Yep.
Or Bridges of Madison County.
Field of Dreams. Yeah. That one. A
little bit of a softball with a pun.
Yeah, I thought it was an open-ended question, so if you caught me, I was hard seeing Field of Dreams before. I didn't know I had choices in this game. I appreciate you.
All right. You also talk about black tie moments. So let's talk about black tie moments as the James Bond character. Who had a better black tie moment, Daniel Craig or Sean Connery as James Bond?
Sean Connery. Sean
Yeah.
Connery. Yeah. Sorry. That's
Yeah, very fair. All right. This is a Quad Cities question. And because you live in Bettendorf, Iowa, which is technically was not, it's like the fifth Beatle.
yep.
So Bettendorf came in after what? Davenport, Moline, East Moline, and Rock Island. I did my homework.
Yeah. You did do your homework. That's an interesting one because most people are like, Bettendorf is like one of the biggest ones. How's that not part of it? It just happens to grow after that.
Yeah, quintuple cities doesn't have quite the ring. So let's talk a little bit about Beatles, not the fifth Beatle, because nobody remembers any of the fifth Beatles. Most people don't. Favorite Beatle, the music of Paul McCartney or John Lennon?
Oh, man. Ooh. John Lennon.
Yeah, I would say I'd give the nod to Paul McCartney because he married a woman that's like 50 years younger than him.
Well, yeah.
But
that wasn't part of the question, though. You asked music.
I did. It was a little bit of question with twist, but yeah, I would agree. All right, number 4. Who looked better in a tuxedo? And this is obviously a Dumb and Dumber reference. Jim Carrey in the orange tuxedo with the ruffles, or Jeff Daniels in the baby blue?
I think Jim Carrey, just because the orange was obnoxious. The baby blue wasn't as obnoxious of a color. So I would go with they were both horrible, but the orange is more horrible.
Yeah, agreed. Nothing sucks like the big orange. So
yeah,
it's more of a Tennessee reference. All right, number 5, and the most important question that you're going to be asked today is biscuits or cornbread?
Oh, man. Cornbread.
Okay. Well, you are in corn country, so.
Well, you didn't say biscuits and gravy. You just said biscuits or cornbread.
Oh, it's whatever you want to add to it. All right. So, Dustin, where can people find out more about you, elevate the everyday with those black tie moments, keep up with what you're doing in the tux business, the speaking business, and everything else?
Yep. Well, as a small business, try to stay everywhere. But our Tux Shop is momentstuxshop.com. So if you're ever in the Bettendorf Quad City area, I know you've got listeners all over the country. We can do Tux direct shipment, though, to their doors. So we can actually help weddings anywhere in North America, if need be, just based on submitting measurements online. But you can find that at momentstuxshop.com. Otherwise, Moments Leadership is my speaking business. So you find me at momentsleadership.com, and I have a lot of work with a lot of companies, businesses, especially in the world of sales, entrepreneurship, really kind of sharing the story, that customer experience. So super blessed at 46 to be able to do a lot of great things. And, hopefully I brought some value here to your show. I know I'm just a little guy from Bettendorf, Iowa, trying to things in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Dustin, thank you very much for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thank you.
So there was my conversation with Dustin James, a keynote speaker specializing in motivating sales and leadership teams, as well as the owner of Moments Tux Shop, a formal wear and tuxedo shop servicing the Quad Cities markets in Iowa and Illinois. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from my conversation with him. First, if you want to find an experience that fits you, then don't always measure what they are doing, and don't look too much at your competition. Focus on what you do well and enhance that experience. As Dustin said, and I quote, if you can really win that customer over and provide a good experience, why would they go somewhere else? Find a unique experience that fits you and help your customers remember that, not just what the experience is in relation to someone else. And let's be careful with that inseam, if you know what I mean. Second, we primarily spoke today about sales and marketing to create a customer experience, but never forget that it's all the touch points and how they all work together that will create a great experience. We spend so much time, often way too much in my opinion, thinking about the digital experience and how it improves CX. And I'm a digital kid, I get it. But the smile you give a customer as they pick up a tux on a time for what will likely be one of the biggest days of their lives, it'll put you in the mindset to remember that nothing about that is digital, and nothing that would try to replace it would ever be worth more. Third, no matter what customer comes through the door, a physical door or a digital door, take the time to connect with them if you can. Build some rapport. And then most importantly, shut up for a second and listen. As he said, your customers will tell us if we will listen. And I've spent much of my own career in lead generation and client acquisition, but I've tried to spend just as much or more on connecting with the ones that I've got. For many, it goes back to going too much after the new customer, but not connecting enough with the current ones, because the current ones, if you treat them well, will more often stay much longer than those who don't. In short, slow down a minute when you have that minute to connect. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you again for the privilege of your time, and I am so thankful to everyone who listens. It's time to elevate your everyday, especially if that day is today. But when it's tomorrow, join us on the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.